Alright, I was up for a Mobibia Kwaba the Bad Don Page Entertainment channel also. The Don's page on YouTube. I was here. You share the media on subscriber channel now, or subscribe to CA. Now, what we do here, yeah, honey, you know, yeah, Jenny, having fun. The Akosu, and no man Akosu are maintained tenant to the son. I kaboom. The important ones for education purpose and for having fun purpose, for entertainment purposes. What I said. Now, without wasting my time, let's go. If I say Europe, Montenso, Germany, Montenso, swap top. I might just say, Adibone. What I say, Adibone. There has been a lot of rain, flood out there. People be brought here, one in Japan, be brought say, a pioneer. I was here, young baby, do Numbra, a Bible to us.
Of devastation in Europe on a scale we are only just beginning to understand. More than 180 people have been killed due to record amounts of rain, mostly in Germany. Chris Livesay is in the hard-hit Arvaya region. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning. This is one of the many bridges that could not withstand these crushing floods that have killed more than 100 people here in the Arvaya region alone. Not something you expect in a country with such advanced infrastructure and warning systems. After days of swelling rivers, now swelling death tolls as bridges, homes, even swaths of villages vanished. No, not in a beleaguered developing nation, but across Europe's economic powerhouses, like in the tiny German town of Insul. Did you ever imagine something like this happening here in Germany?
Well, I think not of this magnitude, not of this size. I don't think anyone has imagined or could have imagined something like this.
The devastation so shocking, German Chancellor Angela Merkel struggled to explain it. I can almost say that the German language doesn't have the words for the destruction, she said. Billions will be needed to rebuild in Germany alone. Some towns are likely gone for good, though both climate scientists and the German Chancellor warn extreme weather events are bound to return. One flood isn't an example of climate change, said Merkel, but if we look at the last events of recent years, decades, then they are simply more frequent than they were previously. So we must make an effort, a great effort. Mother Nature rearing her head, but climate change pushing her hand. Now, to make matters worse, many of these communities had been hit hard by COVID. Hotels, restaurants that had long been closed were only just getting back up on their feet. Now many of them are washed away. Anthony?
Coming in from those areas, at least 43 people have died. Heavy flooding has turned streets into raging torrents, as you can see, and many rivers have burst their banks, sweeping away cars, sometimes buildings, and much else besides. Residents have been posting videos on social media. This is a particularly striking one. Just look what happens as this hits a bridge. And let's hear from one resident.
Our community centre was just crushed and is stuck to the bridge over there. And a 40-ton truck must be stuck there as well. A house just standing over there tilted over entirely. You can imagine this sort of thing happening in Asia, but not here.
Well, this is the village of Schultz. At least 4 people have died there as they waited for rescue from their roofs. Some of the houses in the village were simply swept away. And houses in the district are still at risk of collapse. A state of emergency has been declared, and as you'd imagine, rescue efforts are ongoing. Police helicopters and soldiers have been deployed to help stranded residents. And we also know 2 firefighters in North Rhine-Westphalia have died. The capital of that region is Düsseldorf. Malika Fakaro is a journalist there.
Yesterday when I was walking with my sister back home and we couldn't go home and our car could not pass because otherwise it would have been drowning, we've just been devastated. So we've never seen anything like that, and actually fears are looming of a second wave of floods I don't know if you can see it, but the sky around me is grey. We expect more heavy rainfalls from 1900 to fall, and people are really fearful.
Well, as Malika was saying, more rain is forecast across these areas. We'll hear from BBC Weather on that in a moment. First of all, let's look at the reaction from some leaders within Germany. Malu Dreyer is the chief of the Rhineland-Palatinate state. She's described the flooding as catastrophic. She said there are dead, missing and many people still in danger. All our emergency services are in action, she says, and risking their own lives. Now, Chancellor Angela Merkel is in Washington meeting President Joe Biden, but she said she's shocked by the disaster and she spoke earlier.
These are peaceful towns who are now living through a catastrophe, and one can say a tragedy. There's no word to describe such strong rain and floods other than as a catastrophe. I'm shocked by the reports of the places which now stand completely underwater, and the people who are in extreme danger, standing on their roofs awaiting rescue and who've been rescued. I grieve for the people who've lost their lives. We don't know the number, but it will be many, some in the basements of their houses and some who are working as firefighters trying to bring others to safety. And I give their families my deepest condolences.
Well, this graphic shows the rain across Europe. As you can see, Germany isn't the only country affected. Belgium, the Netherlands and France are all experiencing flooding too. We'll go to Belgium in a moment. First of all, though, here's Jenny Hill in Schult in the west of Germany.
There was, many here told us, no warning. Homes destroyed, lives lost in a matter of minutes. The water ripped up the roads, tossed cars aside like toys. We met Margareta just as she arrived back in the village of Schult. She and her family fled last night. At the very last minute, she says, a fireman got us out. The family are safe, though her son was injured. He's in hospital. Margareta points out what was her neighbour's house, but says she doesn't know what happened to them. As to her own property, half the house has gone, her daughter tells us. In Schult, they're still in shock. Michal and his friend had just finished refurbishing their pub. They were supposed to open on Saturday. Better news for their neighbour's dog. They managed to pull him to safety just in time last night. It's hard to imagine that just yesterday this was a quiet village street. What's worrying people now is that there's more rain forecast this evening. What will happen, they're asking, when the water levels rise again? For now, homeless and fearful, they mourn their dead and wait anxiously for night to come. Jenny Hill, BBC News, Schult.
Video now. Question me bringing them from Mama say, hey, now Bruce be a Ghana for good time boy. The intimacy only be now and this uncommon. Now, I make the woman chow. Ghana, a baby, a good point. A shy baby, a torrent chem disaster, be to say, nature, a mother nature call, be to say, so born in a tornado in it, son of man, earthquake in the San Man, Ghana, and Dicey, when big grands. So what I say, so born in it to me, Toma, yes, Charlie, Ghana, and see what. So, you can take a TV, Biana, you saw a crabby tornado, just say, either for sooner, the Bonica crowd Ghana, but Massa, Bob, America, and then Europe, and Asia countries now say disaster. We say, Sia, only a deal, and farm money would die was a on a more the ending. Massa, a beco, and tea. I mean, and claim from the Bible organizers, as you said, a project. Yes, Ghana there, okay. Debbie. Yes, you are. Unia, sing yes, Ghana. And there is a crony, then it put you. So, Ghana a peaceful country, other country now, West Africa and Africa. So, crazy disaster, man. See, Kroma, et cook to me see, Massa. As I see Mudga. I see a fillet. And then see one boo. Sha. But Obon Payara Bubiama, the Fufua, Mobusia, Mahre Busia, and not because in Suya, I told Germany, the pay Brady, I told Japadiani, or one of Bompire Mary, Munkao. I wish you good luck. So I say, we must say the Sia, it take about months, years to recover. Because in Suya Atom, now, moving on to the next story. You're born here about 2020 last year, COVID-19. COVID-19, yali by a good group of Pensubia. What I say, America for ne and Pennyful, we are saying, you find yourself a saint. And to me, I distribute you. I'm a beer back in Kanya, because I come for Ghana for other people from the rest of the world. What I say, what me and you're Musatimas, I can be a mamma war. I'm a normal cost. And then say a new trend be by a friend, the Delta trend. What I say, new type be a bar, and also Corona be a different type called the Delta. Delta, Massa. Our bar saying when I was we are top dog, we are mine, we are one Massa. What was saying? And they will say, young boy, video, now wasting my time.
The summer spike is catching experts by surprise who never expected numbers like these. Tonight, new infections, hospitalizations, even deaths are increasing when many predicted they would be at all-time lows. In Missouri, more COVID patients are filling beds than during the deadly winter surge. Hospitals here pleading for more doctors.
The tidal wave is coming towards our unvaccinated population. This variant is spreading quickly, and this variant has the ability to devastate those in its wake.
After accounting for just 0.1% of cases in April, the dangerous, highly contagious Delta variant now makes up nearly 60% of new cases. As infections double, vaccinations are plummeting, down 54% last week.
Have you had yours yet?
As more states go door-to-door offering at-home vaccinations, tonight a new report says the Tennessee Department of Health will stop all adolescent vaccine outreach amid pressure from Republican lawmakers. The agency says they're reevaluating their process and wouldn't comment on former medical director Michelle Fiscus.
Well, the question for media comments were then a sinner, much I'm arguing and queen. They got to acquire a new song will be a Nigeria near Branty be a friend of Mali. What I say, Oma Ale, Oma Le, Diapa. And the title is Understand. You will tell you about now, you're reacting to crash and your phone. And you know by July 8th, some just said channel radio, entertainment and education. The Shania Kare, a GNE. Diego Tinu Man Deva Cobra. Never sell. This is your man's DONPAGE. What I see, I'm the same talent.
And the boy will love. Not in my eyes, in my mouth, you don't tell her. I ain't telling cause I give you umbrella. I thought we in this together. Give you my necklace, spender. Give you my last cash, spender. I show you my best friend. I thought we in this together. Give you my necklace, spender. Show you my best friend. I give you my last car, you spend everything I do, I under 50 under. When you never be under 50 understand.
Alright, fam, and you're gonna travel out soon. So what I said, and you know, me personally, I mean the year. So opposed to July 8th and then July 19th. But guess what? And you know, I'm making 1 million views just on YouTube. Not adding Boomplay, not adding Spotify, not adding what's the name? All those other streaming sources. You know why? Because Nigeria for it. Homophobia almost up on top. They can't say all that on town. That movie pretty nice. I support them. They promote your own. You know what I'm saying? They can't say, but then. Shout out to Gokumaru. Gokumaru everywhere you are. Shout out to Gokumaru. Thank you for today's edition of Don't Pay Entertainment Show. You're to us. Like the video, share the video, promote it, support Union. We are here for entertainment and education only. Channel more do. See you once again on Don't Pay Entertainment Show. Accra, Obusia. Tonga.
Give you my last card, I show you my best friend. I thought you in this together. Give you my necklace, show you my best friend.